Executive Committee. It is July 9th, and we are beginning at 2:10 p.m. And looks like we have a quorum, and we can do a roll call.
We sure can. All right. Commissioner West.
Present.
Commissioner Harden.
Present.
Commissioner
Present. Here.
and Commissioner Knight. And do we have Director Batchelder?
Present.
And we also have Capri Hartson, our Finance Administrator.
Present.
Myself, Vivian Fox, and we also have at the table and Leslie Owens.
Thank you, Vivian. Arts mission is to drive an equitable and vibrant community through the arts. Pursuant to the provisions of 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, please take notice that the decisions of the Arts Commission may be appealed to the Chancery Court of Davidson County for review under a common law writ of certiorari. Any appeal must be filed within 60 days after entry of a final decision by the Commission. Any person or other entity considering an appeal should consult with an attorney to ensure that time and procedural requirements are met. Again, welcome everybody. Thank you for making the time to be here, and thank you to the staff for getting us ready for today. Vivian, do we have any public comments that were submitted prior to this meeting?
We do not have any that were submitted prior, and we do not have any here in person.
Thank you. Okay, we have minutes to approve from April 15th, and those were sent in advance. And so if there are any edits, please let us know. And then I will take a motion to approve either as the minutes stand or with corrections.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 15th.
Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Excellent. Minutes are approved. Okay, so on our discussion items, we're going to move things around a little bit. We're just going to do the bylaws review as 1, commission retreat as 2, and then upcoming legislation, and then the ED evaluation is how we're going to run through this. So bylaws, you all have a copy of the bylaws with red line that have been reviewed with our legal team. Tessa, thank you for being here today. We should acknowledge you. Thank you. And then Ashley and staff have looked through these. I've looked through these. So if you look at the bylaws review, this sheet, this one right here, and then with your bylaws here, you'll see that there are notes that have been made on the side. And the way that it's divided up is for consideration. You'll see legal clarity needed, for discussion, or staff recommendation. And our bylaws have been, so we have the powers as the executive committee to review the bylaws and then make suggestions and changes along with our legal team. Tessa. So moving forward, I don't know if we want to go through these kind of point by point. I think so. Yeah, I think so too. So you want to walk through this with us, and I can too, however we want to do that. Because there are some changes that need to be discussed and updated.
Yeah, so I'll also add that we are not taking any motions for changes today. So this is the first conversation. So this is based on, like Chair West just said, our review, and it has not gone to legal for their review because we want to have this conversation to know where we want them to go before we ask for that legal review process. So the summary table here, if something is labeled as staff recommendation, that is something that we change that we don't think will be differing opinions or controversial or anything. And they might just be things that we have to update anyway, like our quorum or the new attendance requirements that have been set by the Metro Council. So it might be helpful just to go through the, I'm going to say go through page by page, but I don't mean like read it page by page, but just as a helpful exercise of going through the bylaws. And yeah, so I'm going to do that. On page 1, there's not really any change. Some of the simple cleanup that we did was change things like city council to Metro Council. So again, I'm not going to point out those kind of updates because they're clerical.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I did see that under award funds, individual artists is added because that wasn't on the original bylaws, which I support. But how it says award funds, the bylaws previously said award funds just to nonprofit and civic organizations, and now it says that and individual artists. So I support that, but I
know our code says the organizations, but
And it's, right, it's the same. It's code 2.112.03. So I don't know that that's changed at all.
Well, the bylaws that are posted on the, like, for example, the website or whatever, just say organizations. Because that was always something that I was like, oh, we should change that because, so I just want to point that out. Even though
so I didn't add this on the version that I have. So I think there was some version control.
Yes, there was a version that was updated under past leadership, executive director, that never came through commission, if that is my memory. But the code, Tessa, I guess this would be a question for you, but in the Metro Code, the 2.112.030, I don't believe that includes individual artists. I think that's the overall code for any granting through Metro. Is that right? Because I'm not sure where the bylaws that I have from the just include nonprofit and civic charitable organizations. So I'm not sure where the individual artist would have.
That's what you have?
This is the old one. That's the one from the website. This is the new one.
Right.
This is.
So I think we just need to get clarity on if that should be included in our bylaws. And I don't, if it's helpful, Tessa, to put you on the spot to frame how our bylaws relate to our code and sort of, they have to be in alignment with each other. Maybe provide that framing.
So are we concerned that having individual artists in that is conflicting?
no, I just wanted to say that I'm glad it's in
Oh,
there. But
okay.
it wasn't read, and so, like, as an addition. So
Gotcha.
I I want it to be in there, but I just hadn't seen it before in another version. So that's it.
I'll just make sure it's okay as we do fund individual artists. They just must have a fiscal sponsor. I mean,
And, I mean, it doesn't specify grants also,
right.
so.
Yeah. Okay. start. I love questions. Yes, please
that's
point things out that,
excellent. Yeah,
that
excellent.
we might have missed as well. Okay, so that's page one. On page two, so this is where you begin to see the comment boxes. So on sort of the summary table here, it corresponds here just so it's kind of easier to see at a glance on one page instead of through here. So in this paragraph, that is about employ all staff necessary to execute affairs of the commission. I need some clarity on the use of such personnel in that sentence right there, because that reads to me that the commission has authority to appoint, employ, and discharge personnel, which I would read that as staff, which I don't believe that that is accurate. So I have just flagged that as not something for us to discuss here, but for me to discuss during the legal review of that. The other edits there are just sort of cleanup language. We move down to the second part of the page, Article 4. I've changed our quorum number there. Our quorum is 11. Nope, I'm sorry. Our commission membership is 11, not 15. One thing that we put here for discussion, and this is legal input based on discussion as well, but we wanted to know if we have like the ability to put any criteria on some of our membership. So for example, if we believe that there would be benefit in having one commission member must be a visual artist, or must, because we have like in our public art guidelines, right, where we do require those things, but not in our overall commission. And Leslie is at the table with us because she's put a lot of thought and work into getting these up and edits here as well. So certainly invite everybody to join in the conversation. But yeah, so that's the first thing that I flagged for discussion, but curious what others think as well.
And I guess because like the appointment would come through the mayor's office, would it function more just as a suggestion, or, you know, like, this is what we'd like, or would it be kind of, how binding would it be, I guess?
Well, that's the comment where I have here, just do we have the authority to do this? Yeah. So a research question there. Looks like Tessa has an answer, which.
Yeah, you need a code amendment, because as the code is written, there's no requirement of any specific qualifications. So you could put it in there, but it would be moot, more or less, because that's not what the code dictates.
Are you aware if there are any other departments that have that type of?
Yeah, like the Fire and Building Codes Appeals Board have specific qualifications for their membership. Same thing with the mechanical and plumbing boards. A lot of the more technical boards in Metro usually have specific qualifications for their memberships. But I'm sure your executive director could make a good case to have that here as well.
And so I also like this, we're not going to get into like in-depth discussion right here, I don't think, but keeping in mind that we have our retreat coming up, which we already know we're not going to be able to get through everything we want in the retreat. So there'll probably be at least 2 parts of that. And so you turned your mic on, Chair, if you wanted to say something, but I know that we're not going to like make magic here.
No, like I totally think that having, especially the communication with the mayor's office about what the needs of the commission are, if we are not going to do a code amendment off the bat, but just keeping in mind that any artist that serves on the commission is then not eligible for any funding from Metro. So I just would want to make sure that whoever, if that did come to play, that, and then after there, it may be in these bylaws, but after you roll off, I believe there's a 1-year hold on if you can apply for anything within Metro. I can't remember off the top of my head, but just to point that out. And that goes for yourself or your household. So,
The next thing that's flagged for discussion in here is our current bylaw language around term limits. Our code does not include any language about term limits. It just does not contemplate code limit or term limits. And so a question that I have is that in violation or in conflict with our code? And if so, does that need to be removed from our bylaws? So that is something that I have just flagged here that I will get an answer to next time, but it's also, I think, like a discussion. Bylaws are created by this commission, so at one point, somebody put in the term limit, even though it's not in our code, and so I just want to flag that for discussion as well. If we move to the next page, I'm just going to go along unless I look around and see people wanting me to stop. At the top of the next page, this is just the staff recommendation, which I would say we have to add, is the new attendance requirements. This was passed by ordinance through the council in 2024, so it just adds a little bit more process if we have a commissioner who has missed excessive absences is the phrase that's used there, so that new language is added there. Another staff recommendation that we have in here is that the chair shall serve as an ex officio member of all committees. And so that doesn't mean that the chair necessarily must attend all committee meetings of every committee. They would be a non-voting member, but I think that's important in case something is happening in a committee that the chair has a need or a desire to be part of that conversation. And so right now, how it is, if the chair is not an ex officio and not a member of a committee, and the chair, I'll just use you as an example, you are not on
grants.
the grants committee. So if you were to have a desire to be part of that conversation, you would not be able to as the chair. And so we think this is just sort of a check and balance kind of measure as something that adds that ability for chair involvement if that is needed. So that's a staff recommendation. And that's the same as the executive director right now. The executive director serves as an ex officio of every committee. So that is our recommendation there. We have a recommendation to change the primary duty of the secretary, which is written right now that the secretary is responsible for taking minutes unless delegated to a staff member. We are recommending that we change that process a little bit, that the secretary shall certify the minutes of full commission meetings after they are approved. And so that's just good practice for record keeping as well. And so essentially, once minutes are approved, Vivian would hand them over to the secretary, which would have a line to sign that, to certify that with the date. And so that helps us in our record keeping as well. So we are recommending that the secretary be empowered with that specific duty. If we go to the next page, what I have flagged in Article 7 in committees and task forces, realize the word committee is spelled wrong there, is just that we at the retreat will be having a much more intentional and thorough discussion about our standing committees. So right now, our standing committees include the Executive Committee, the Nominating Committee, Grants and Funding Committee, the Public Art Committee, Committee for Anti-Racism and Equity, and the Advocacy Committee. And in addition, we also have the Audit Committee as an ad hoc committee. So that is in total 6 standing committees and 1 ad hoc committee for an 11-person commission. And so we have been doing some internal planning, just thinking about how we organize committees and how we organize commissioners on those committees and how it is in service to our work. And so this is going to be a much longer discussion that we'll have with the full commission input as well, but just wanted to flag that there.
The audit and budget committee is still ad hoc, because it evolved from the, what was it? The oversight, and so it's still ad hoc. Cool.
Go ahead.
And just a quick touch on that, going from a commission of 15 to 11, we did have this conversation when we were condensing the size of the commission, and I think I did bring this up, that it's going to mean that commissioners are going to need to serve on more than one committee, more than likely, the way that this splits out. So just wanted to put that out there.
Sorry, can you say that last part?
Because of the numbers of 11,
Okay, yeah.
and with it's six standing, and with one additional ad hoc, that's 7. So we're going to need commissioners to sit on two committees, more than likely. Currently, as we have it, it's that the roles are to serve on at least one, and I'm thinking it's going to need to be 2 committees with a commission of 11 to make quorum and everything else. So.
In that same Article 7, in Section 3, this is a recommendation to adjust the use of numbers in the executive committee composition. And so we have had an issue where our, what was the term? Our previous immediate past chair, we have not had one of those because of resignations over the last several months. And so that's thrown off our count of executive committee members. And so I have just adjusted the language that instead of naming it 5, it's words like additional, because we've just not had the number of people on the executive committee due to no fault of our own. So it's just adjusting the language to account for the unusual situation that we've been in.
Is part of that we should have an odd number of voting members in case there's a tie?
Yes, so we do not have that right now. And if you read how so Chair West appointed Commissioner Knight in the absence of a immediate past chair, but that put us at 4 when somehow it was supposed to put us at 5 and we still were not at 5.
I was sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. I was appointed, so prior to being chair, I was appointed as the 5th member. And then when I became chair, that left that 5th member piece open. Therefore, Commissioner Knight was in that. Our past immediate chairs have been empty for the past, I think, 3 or 4 moving in, leaving us with 4. So the immediate past chair piece will still leave us at 4, right? Mm-hmm. So it'd be good to be at an odd number, but having that open, so Commissioner Knight essentially filled my where I was as 5th, and so he's there, and then, yeah.
But the reason, go ahead.
I'm wondering, just, do we need to make it to where the chair can appoint additional commissioners and not just, because in that situation, would you be, right now, you should be able to appoint somebody else, right? Because the immediate past chair isn't available.
Not available, but
Yeah.
that position, not available, I had this question too. No. Totally. That person is not available, but Tessa, if I understand it correctly, we would need to reword that because I can't just put a commissioner into the immediate past chair role. So currently that role on our executive committee just sits empty.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of thrown. So I'd like, if I could appoint someone to that role to make us 5, that'd be awesome.
Because I'm looking at the like, if circumstances warrant such an appointment, but maybe it's not clear what the circumstances are. I don't know if we could be,
Yeah, so like what we're in right now is a circumstance,
Right,
right? But the other thing that was just an error in this that I edited is that it had the executive director incorrectly counting as a voting member. And so
okay.
I think my question, listening to you all, is if you so desire it to be a odd number of people on the executive committee, then we can make the language do that. Because right now, it is not an odd number.
yeah. I mean, I don't mean to be like, but it's like it depends on who's here. Because today we have an odd number because we're missing one, you know. So if we have
Yep.
5, we still might have 4 people.
still may have 4.
But, I mean, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
So to the odd and even number, there is in Robert's rules that technically the chair of a committee or commission would be the tie-breaking vote. That's not necessarily the way most boards and commissions run in Metro, but usually per Robert's rules, a chair does not vote unless a tie break is needed, which is how you would handle an even number of a board or commission or committee. If that is helpful to this conversation.
Yeah, I'm going to get a sentence from you that says that so that I get that correct. Because that should be maybe somewhere, we have a section about voting, and I don't remember that being in there, but just so that we have that explicit language as a reminder to ourselves as well.
Would we need that explicit language, or could we just defer to Robert's rules?
So Robert's rules is
Yeah.
the deferral and absence of explicit guidance in the code or in bylaws. So, and I believe that these bylaws say that.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do. They do.
So we just have to understand that. We don't have to write it out.
It doesn't usually come up. It's not just this commission that I advise. Most boards and commissions, the chair votes as if they were just a regular old voting member. But in a situation, if we were here and there was a disagreement, the chair would be the final vote to either pass or fail a measure.
Wow, we're learning.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to skip us to the next page. Something that I flagged right here is number 7. That sentence is highlighted. It says that the executive committee shall assume responsibility for all media and other public relation activities. I'm not sure that we're practicing that right now, and we have our exciting update. Our public information manager begins on Monday of next week. Very excited. I'll leave the surprise until the full commission meeting. But so with an incoming person, we have more capacity to think about this, how we approach this, right? But just wanted to see what you all think about that. That is listed as a duty of this body.
That was always on my list, from going back, last year when I first started looking to, because it's unique to a staff role. It doesn't say anything about anything else, just that. So I've always been in support of striking it. Maybe it made sense at one time, but.
Yeah, I guess, that all media is a lot. I think I could see a situation where if there's some type of official press release or something that, we're able to review it and before something goes out on behalf of the commission. But you all are communicating with the community daily. So maybe we could find a way to say it like that, where maybe things that are official press releases or, matters that I'm not sure how to describe as relevant or important enough for that. But yeah, all media as if you advertise a open call to artists. Like technically that's like a PR activity, but
I completely agree with Commissioner Harden. I'm wondering if we need to either just strike it or have some language that media that would be in direct reflection of the overall commission. If it was media about the commission or something like the commission itself, it would come to exec. But I think that that's just an internal thing that you would send over to the chair or whatever, like, and then, I think just striking it because it's a confusion of duties. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I can think of that it might mean, just alternatively, is like thinking about even like actually like a letter that we would write to council or something on behalf of the on behalf of like what we're doing now on the budget or something like that. That's not a press release or anything like that. I also don't think that, our chair signs that, and if it's in our purview, we can all look at it, but I don't know, that maybe that was, but I think I'm fine with just striking it.
All right, I'm going to move us along just for the purpose of time. When we go to the next page, this is just some clarifying language that I want to make sure that our language about notices is accurate. Is that? Let me make sure I'm in the right spot for myself. What page are we on? I skipped to the wrong page. Okay, these are not page numbered. Okay.
Section 6.
Section 6 at the top. Okay. One thing that I wanted to flag is section 7. So right now, our standing committee shall be composed of a minimum of 2 commissioners. Some people have raised the question around if this should be 3. And so I just wanted to see if you have any gut reactions to that.
I'm just curious why. Why would it need to be a minimum of 3?
Just for our committees, that is 2 people. If one person can't be there, that means the meeting can't happen. If just a perceived value in a conversation with 3 people instead of 2. But again, I think that this has to be thought about holistically when we think about all of our committees and our membership and committee assignments. And so just wanted to flag it now and see what your initial reactions are.
I guess one piece of having 3 to me that is a positive, there's positives and negatives. One is more more discussion rather than just the 2 back and forth. But then you have the staff that's supporting that. So with a vote, my con of this is the 11 commission members and then 3 on each. So we would still need to have, if there's duplicates. Never mind, scratch that. Yeah, no.
We'll have a diagram at the retreat. We'll have.
In these situations, commissioners can't vote, or they're not vote. There's 1 voting member. Would there be 2 non-voting? Am I reading that correctly?
So this would be a committee with, no, these are just commissioners. So all standing.
The chair, sorry. Got you, sorry. I'm reading the addition of the chair, but the chair is the 3rd commissioner in this case.
Right.
Yeah, section
Yes,
7.
so there's 2 voting commissioners and then the chair
Yes.
as the 3rd non-voting.
I got it, yeah.
And does an ex officio chair who's not on a committee count for quorum? No. Which is not make it or break it, but yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting a little confused. the committee chair, are we in that addition, proposed addition, or is that the chair, is that referring to the commission chair or the committee chair?
The committee chair.
Okay.
Or are you asking about the ex officio non-voting?
Yeah, when it says the chair and executive director shall serve as ex officio non-vote, that's talking about
That's
the
the commission chair, right?
Yeah, okay.
Actually,
I can
is
add that.
Yeah,
But
that's the
the-
commission chair.
Yep.
But the committee chair is not included in that.
So, for example, our advocacy committee right now, if Chair West were to appoint Commissioner Batchelder and Commissioner Harston, just use it as examples, right? That's two commissioners, or like setting up a membership for a standing committee, 2 or 3, right? So you would not be appointing yourself. So if you were to go, you would not count towards quorum or voting. But for your point about discussion, you would, right? So that's like a practical example I to think about, since we're likely to be adding commissioners to that committee, right?
Right.
I'm leading us down, not helpful way.
I guess my first thought is just capacity. It creates more requirements for commissioners, and it's a minimum too. So
Yeah.
we could still do 3. It just wouldn't be required. And maybe we might find that for certain committees, we might want more than 2, and others we might just want 2. But I just worry about our numbers shrinking and asking, more assignments, more. I mean, it just, the attendance might reflect, just because we add them, it doesn't mean people are going to be available to show up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've sold me. Okay.
Yep. That's the downside of having 3 minimum, because that would mean that technically, I think, just doing the math, at 11, we would need each commissioner to serve on 3 committees, I think, to make those numbers work.
Yeah,
And that's a lot of commitment.
If we keep the amount of committees we have now.
Yeah. And we did have this conversation with, not, when we were talking about with the working group, taking our numbers down to 11 from 15. And I made this point of a lot of our work is in committee, and that this will mean more commissioners on committees, and capacity for that is just, it's a concern, right? Yeah.
Okay. I am aware of the time, and I've kind of just looked through the remaining 3 pages, and some of that is just clarifying language, and just to name the additions, but maybe not for discussion right now. We are recommending adding a section about conflict of interest, because we realized that was absent in our bylaws, and so we just thought that is good practice to put in there. Recommending an addition of a line that every commissioner has a duty to vote, essentially, in the voting section, and that abstentions are disfavored unless it is because of a conflict of interest. And those are the things that we wanted to highlight there. And we're almost at the top of the hour, and so I think our next steps for this, if you want to look at it more closely after the meeting, and if you see anything else that you think needs discussion, you can let me know, and we'll do like a cleanup version from this, and take the red lines out and bring a cleaner version the next time, and see where we are of getting close to something that we might be able to adopt. Because we have some questions around this, some homework that we need to do on the staff side.
I'm very grateful for the red line version.
Yes. And Leslie and Ashley, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ann, Leslie, and Ashley, for going through this. Great. Good plan. Okay, commission retreat. Are we ready to move into Ashley? Are you good? Okay. So we do have the date, which is July 24th, as a reminder to everyone. And we also have a location. It's going to be at Fort Negley Visitor Center. Cool. Yep, exactly. Thank you, Vivian, for chasing that down. And it's 9 a.m. to noon, and that's going to be followed by lunch, and then the commission meeting is 1 to 3. So we need all commissioners hopefully present for that. And we have, sorry, go ahead.
We do have a, sorry, we do have a quorum confirmed now.
For the retreat?
For the retreat.
Okay, let's talk about offline, because we want to try to see, I'd like to have more than a quorum if possible. Is it for the retreat? Like for a meeting, totally understandable, but for the retreat with all this substance, and this is laying the foundation for everyone moving forward, I'd kind of like to look at that, make sure everything's good.
Will we be recording it?
We will be recording the meeting from 1 to 3, and then taking notes on the first part of the retreat.
Okay.
Yep. Briefly, we've talked about priorities for this, and maybe Ashley, we could send this out to the executive committee and get some feedback. And basically, it's getting to know each other, and then policies and procedures, places that we've seen, a bit of confusion, because you don't walk into this just knowing, what's going on. How things should be shared, the bylaws, the code, muni code, commission timeline, legal training, onboarding, expectation of commissioners and staff, how commissioners and staff work together, commission actions by program area, and then clarifying committees and what those committees do. And then the org chart, program areas, and then we'll probably move other topics to maybe a section 2. But those are the priorities right now for the retreat, but since we want feedback from you all, so would it be okay if we sent this to the executive committee and then get feedback from you all to see as we are kind of framing this out? So,
That would come from Ashley, and we would send back our feedback to you, Ashley.
if that's okay, yeah, because we're working on the bones of it now, and yes, that sounds good, if that's okay with you all.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
In light of time, I would go into more, but we need to move on through. Let's see, Ashley, upcoming legislation?
I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware that our legislation is to approve our grant criteria is on the council agenda for Tuesday of next week. That's July the 15th. Which is, of course, after we passed our criteria on the 26th at our last commission meeting. And so council members are going to be receiving that information. We've got just a cover letter explaining that this is just for criteria right now and that this is not for allocation, and letting them know what our timeline is, when we plan to open applications, the support that we're providing through the application process, and that the allocation conversation happens in September. And so in your packet, you just have that, and then again, a copy of the guidelines and criteria themselves. And of course, if you want to send a note of support to the council prior to the meeting on Tuesday, that would be great as well.
Thank you, Ashley. Oh, sorry. Commissioner Lefkowitz?
Did you say that is it better to email all council? Is that the recommendation for the commission, or members of specific committee? And also, is there an updated email address? We went through this last time, that would go to all council, or how should that work?
So it is the full body of the council that will ultimately vote on this, and we know that we've had support from, council members that are not just on the specific committees that we're assigned to, especially through some of the caucuses in recent years. And so I would recommend all of the council members. I think that the best way to get your email to them is the individual emails of the direct emails versus the council email address. And if you need that, I'm happy to provide that information as well.
I also have it queued up, if.
Thank you, and thank you, Tessa, for getting that filed for us, and thank you, Ashley. And, yeah, the 15th is next, what, Tuesday? Yep, okay. Fantastic. Anything else on legislation that we need to address do y'all have questions? Anybody?
Will you send an email to all the commissioners with this and ask and recommend that they do that?
Yep, you'll get it today.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Number 3, which was, we moved back, is the executive director evaluation. So Ashley has been with us since January 28th, is that right? Yes. And so she has completed her self-evaluation. I have done calls and interviews with the managers of the staff. And the way the bylaws read, and I want to get this correct when I read it, is that the executive committee shall be primarily responsible for overseeing the operation of the commission, da. And number 4 is conduct an annual evaluation of the executive director and submit a report to the commission. So I have a form that I fill out, and then Ashley and I exchange that, and then I share that with you all to give any feedback, and then I just present a simple report at the next commission, is the way I understand it. Is there anybody that has any questions about that or has experience with this in the past? Because Trey, you may have.
I just have a question, and this isn't a personal, it's just technical. Do we need to do some of that where Ashley is not present? Is that, I mean, maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, but it seems like we've had like a eval of EDs when they're not in the room, and then, but I don't know, maybe it's just a question. And maybe Tessa, you might know.
I can't remember a time, well, I've been with Metro Arts that the evaluation is done without the director present. Also, the executive director is an ex officio member of.
Yeah, maybe I'm just thinking this term closed session has come into my mind, but essentially that's.
I mean, any commissioner can have a one-on-one meeting with the director if they want to give the director feedback. But for the commission to give the director her evaluation, it should be done in an open meeting.
Okay.
Or at least discussed in an open meeting.
Okay.
Well, it must be discussed in an open meeting.
10-4.
Right, what you may be, so we did have an evaluation once that the executive director stepped out and then came back in at their own choice.
That's probably what I remember.
You maybe,
It's been a few years.
there was that situation, but yeah,
Okay.
it's,
That was a special case. It wasn't.
special,
Okay.
yep, and by
Status
choice.
quo. Gotcha.
And so just so everybody knows, Ashley is not asking for a merit increase or anything like that. And I do want to share that after the manager calls and interviews, I mean, Ashley, it could not be more supportive and more glowing. And there were so many common threads, and I spoke to people individually. And it is everything from you came in and really have added this layer of stability and trust and just wonderful to work with. I have a whole 3 pages here that everybody, and I want to share the full thing, but I just wanted to tell you specifically and tell you all that I could not be, I don't know, just more supportive of what everyone said, and mine as well. Thank you for everything that you've done, that you continue to do. I know that we would not be here right now without everything that you've done, and I want to make that very clear. And I just want to make sure we're doing this the right way so your personnel file reflects that, because you have given up a lot of time and energy to do this. I want to make it sure it's done correctly. But yes, several themes that were very, very consistent is that we have put the responsibilities in the right hands. And I had a big thank you from everyone I talked to, thanking the commission for bringing you on and thanking you for coming on, because that's really what's made the gel. So thank you so much, and we'll get this formalized for you so we can move on. So, I'll stay at Ashley. 5-star. Are you in good hands? That's good. Yeah, it's nice. Yep. I see a jersey in your future. But yeah, it was very consistent. And everybody just kind of echoed each other of your performance, like, in every area, like your ability to assess the needs and then get things done. And that you are also able to like balance everyone so well. And for me, as long as I've been around inside and out, I can see like this layer of trust that hasn't been there before, and well, not before, but in quite a while. And I just want to really thank you for that. So, if it's okay with you all, we can finalize that at our next executive committee meeting. Or,
Full commission.
sorry, full commission, yes. And yes, I need, but if y'all could actually, if you and Commissioner Knight, if y'all want to send me general feedback, I can send you Ashley's self-review, and y'all have it. Then if y'all could just send over feedback, I can incorporate in the report, then that'd be great. Okay, perfect, because that's not deliberation.
And the
That's good.
report will be shared with the whole commission next, or whenever we meet again, next week. Great.
Yes, so, and that kind of pulls together my chair's report, the ED search. We do have a new timeline. We're working with HR to finalize the packet and all those things, but there's still a good bit to kind of iron out. But let's take input on that, and then we can talk about it more next week. But we just got the new timeline, and Director Hall will be coming to present to us on the 24th during our commission meeting part, not the retreat part. Yeah, that is that piece. We are doing a lot of kind of
Just
research.
is the retreat part first in the morning, and then okay, that's what I thought.
Retreats, 9 to 12, and then 1 to 3 is the commission meeting. So, are you in town? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're here with bells on. And Commissioner Lefkowitz, you're here for that. Okay, great. Thank you. Excellent. Anybody else have any questions about that? Or any input? No? Then we will move right into old and new business. Does anyone have any old or new business?
Can I ask a clarifying question about the retreat? When you said like part 1 and part 2, are you saying that we'll have a second retreat to go over, or do you anticipate we can get through everything? You know how things are. It's hard. I know there's a lot. I know it's a lot.
We have so much we want to do that we know will not fit in 3 hours. And so we just anticipate the need for one, but, we understand that everyone's schedules are difficult to get everyone in a room and to find time off work and everything. So we anticipate the need for a second one. I don't have a timeline on that or like a specific date that we're proposing, but we can incorporate that kind of into part 1 to see what the body feels like we need as well and how to prioritize that and on what timeline.
So I was thinking that would be the case. And I would like to say that I think it would be great, especially like as the director search might ramp up or whatever in the fall, if we could have some kind of meeting, not to do like a whole strategic plan, but maybe just high level kind of direction that we want to go in. I think that would provide a lot of clarity and I think that would be the natural next step, right? After we do the kind of nuts and bolts stuff, get to know each other, whatever. But if that could happen, so that, I don't know what the timeline is in terms of the process, but so that we kind of have that to hold on to as we move through the process. Does that, I don't know.
That, to me, that makes all the sense. And, you know, at the end of the day, the commission sets the policy and priorities. And I think there's a lot of conversation we need to have around, because right now we are operating without a current strategic plan. And so what is it? What are our priorities moving forward? What are we looking to in the immediate, and then in like the 3-year, where are we with that kind of thing? So I think that's kind of where this part 2 comes into play. Because I think that we need the input and the direction for the candidate to be the most successful in the position, you know? Yeah.
I would also say that I'm a huge fan of homework, and I'm willing to do it too. So both for next week and for whatever would come, you know, like if they're writing prompts or, you know, whatever, anything that would help us do that kind of pre-thinking and reflection before. I don't know if that's as applicable for next week. And I know it's hard, homework is hard, but I do it. And so I think people would. So if that will help, I am supportive of it. Both for next week and for the big conversation.
I'm sorry, I think I'm the one that made that mistake. It's the fall, it's not next week, but the following week, right? Okay, my July is like blah, but yeah, so it's the following, but yes, any kind of like prompt questions, anything like that, you could, okay, great. Good, okay. Yeah. Okay, does anybody else have anything to add to any of these or old or new business at this point? I know we're over by about 5 minutes, I'm sorry.
Next executive meeting is August 13th.
Okay, so that week, I think I've sent to y'all, I'm out that week. We will be taking our daughter back to college. So I'll be out from the 13th until like that Sunday, whatever that is. I'm actually out the 12th until that Sunday. So if we need to move or reschedule, or Commissioner Harden can step into chair role for that meeting.
Just checking the other two of you that are here, do you know, because we'll have,
Are you taking,
I will
I
be
go
in
the
town
next
for
week.
sure that week.
I will be in town too. I go the next week. So
we'll check with Commissioner Knight because 3 is quorum, so just to make sure that we'll have that.
okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you to the staff. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Ashley. And yeah, with that, I will take a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Seconded? All in favor? Yes.
Yes. Second. I second.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned at 2:08 p.m. Thanks so much. Oh, the eyes, y'all. 3:07. I can't. Thank you. Okay.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.